Hello, this is Matt Singer. I'm the arts and culture editor at Willamette Week, and my guest today is Blazers legend and now the co-host of the Talking Blazers podcast, Channing Frye. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me.
Awesome. There's a lot to talk about, but just to start off here, we corresponded kind of early in the pandemic. You filled out a little survey about kind of what you were doing in quarantine, but that was 2 months ago.
Yeah.
How are you holding up now?
It's not that bad, man. I think for me, just been, a lot of walks, a lot of exercise, new things with kids, Play-Doh, painting, keeping them busy. Now that school is out, you're hoping for better weather. Today's kind of a little gloomy, but it's been pretty good. So riding bikes with them. And, I live in Lake Oswego, so it's been open stage one, which isn't that bad. Like, it's just a slower pace of life, almost like a beach life, which is cool with me. But, I think the biggest thing is, just the more I go out, the more I'm like, because I've been to China, I've been overseas. So wearing a mask to me is like nothing, like it's not a big deal. But to people who aren't used to that, it's like becoming this thing, right? Like, oh, you think I'm sick, or like, it's like a weird thing. So I think that is kind of something I have to get over.
Let's talk basketball.
Yeah.
I'll ask the big question kind of right off the bat here. Is the NBA's plan to restart the season a good idea in your view?
It's a great idea. Too many variables, right? I think here's the two things you have to weigh, and more information is coming out daily about this. Are you really testing guys every day, right? How can you, and this is the thing, is like if you put 22 teams or 20 teams in a bubble, right? Who brings their food in and out? Think about it on a daily basis. I know how much food I eat, or I know how much food my team eats. And we're talking about the most basic level. So each team would say 15 players, maybe 17, 5 staff, and then other people like 5 staff, and then how many coaches, how many GMs there? Is the owner there? Is the owner going to stay with them? Is the president? Like, how is that going to work? So let's just say 25 teams times 20 teams, 25 people.
Mhm.
400 and something people that you got to feed on a daily basis, dinner intermittently. So like, what food do you bring in? How do you guys eat specific things? Like, who's touching their stuff? Like, who's bringing them food in their room? Are their rooms getting cleaned every day? By who? Is the staff staying? It's like, and this is what we're learning, is the staff staying quarantined with the players? So we're hearing no. So all of a sudden, you got people coming in and out of Florida, in and out of Orlando. Where do they go home to?
If you were still playing,
Yeah.
would you go?
Am I in a contending team?
Let's say if you are on one of these bubble teams that's kind of still trying to play their way in, would you think it's worth it?
I would have to say yes, but deep down inside, we don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody knows. I would say, I don't want to say no, and then we go through it, and then something happens, I say, I told you so. I'm not that guy. But I do have some type of weird gut feeling that with everything that's going on, whether it's, Black Lives Matter first, COVID, just a bubble scenario, putting 20 teams of grown men together, right? What's going to happen to mental state of guys being locked down like that? Like, what kind of fights are going to break out? Because you have all this aggression, and guys go back home. You talk to your wife, you talk to your best friends, you hug your kids, you have a glass of wine, you chill out. When they have to see each other over and over and over and over and over again, what does that look like as a dynamic of the league? Like going to the same hotel, like in the league, even in the playoffs, as long as you stay somewhere, it's maybe 8 days. But in those 8 days, you're like, get me home. To tell a guy he has to stay at a hotel for 2 or 3 months in a hotel room, so not everybody's getting a suite, right? Just one little hotel room where the windows probably don't open because Orlando is hot as heck. That's a lot mentally for a guy.
you sort of alluded to the other things that are happening
Yeah.
in the world right now, and there was a report today from Chris Haynes at Yahoo Sports about how a lot of players are sort of talking about how even beyond the health concerns that we're in the middle of a historic moment in the fight for racial justice in America, and the optics of isolating a league mostly made up of black men in one spot while this is all happening, that just doesn't look great for the league. What's your take on that?
I mean, I could argue both ways. Is that there are guys, the NBA players have signed this, so they've agreed to this, right? So they've chosen to go and be in the bubble. They've chosen to collect these checks and play basketball, the thing that they love doing, the thing that's amazing. But in doing that, you're also diverting America's attention towards yourself. Now, if you go to this situation in a bubble and don't use your platform, this will be the greatest platform maybe in the history of all sports. There is nothing else going on in this world that is going to compare to this, to the NBA right now in Orlando. And I think if they don't use that platform to its fullest, then they're doing America a disservice, they're doing the black community a disservice, they're doing themselves a disservice. Because I think now is the time to continue this. Like, it's easy to protest when the sun is out and it's convenient, you're not working, you could do stuff from home. What's going to happen in a month, right? When things start to roll and get a little better, what's going to happen in 3 months, right? These things take time for change, and I just don't want America to divert their eyes because they're tired of looking at something that's happened over all these hundreds of years to feel good basketball.
Just on a pure sort of analytical level. So I think of the teams that are, kind of scrapping to still get into the playoffs if everything happens like it's planned to, the Blazers are probably the most interesting just for the fact that they're getting back, two very significant players. What do you think of their chances of first getting into the playoffs, and then how much noise do you think that they could possibly make if they get there?
Big time noise. I think the league does not want to see a healthy Blazers team in the playoffs. I think, and I've said this before, other than LeBron and Kawhi Leonard, Damian Lillard is up there as a monster. You would say some guys, those guys are really good. Those guys are all-stars. And then you start getting into a list of, oh, he's a monster. Oh, he's definitely a monster. Or this guy is A1. We got to put 2 or 3 people on him. There are certain guys in the playoffs that you got to do that. He is one of those guys. 100% they make the playoffs.
So I wanted to kind of just wrap up here by asking you. So you had a kind of a viral hot take, I would say recently, about Michael Jordan and sort of how his skills would translate or not translate to today's game. I'm not going to ask you to like relitigate that opinion.
No, I will.
Well, I think you've talked about it a lot. But I'm mostly interested in the reaction because this was coming off of The Last Dance, and I know MJ stans are revved up normally. They were probably especially revved up now. So were your DMs like 40-year-old dudes just trying to like fight you, basically?
I said my take. I said some things that people didn't like. It's kind of how I felt. Obviously, it's a barbershop argument. It's like they talk about who's the greatest. Shaq's the most dominant to me. So put Shaq in any era. He's killing everybody. I mean, not killing, but he's, whatever. So I start trolling the people that are trolling me, like just going back and forth. Like, no way you guys are taking this seriously. The internet does not like when you troll. So then people started, calling me things, racist stuff, talking about I'm going to come kill your whole family. Like talking about my dead parents. It got wild. And so that's when I said, you know what? This is not, and I said, internet trolls, and people see it very often, right? Is any excuse to tell people and say things to people that you really believe where you're not going to get in trouble. So I have a joke where it's like, you say something like the sky is red, and the racist internet trolls go, racist statement. Like they just type a racist statement at you. They just need an outlet where they can hide, right? And not to kind of bring this to the Black Lives Matter movement is I like that racist people are being exposed and that they're being themselves. I love it. President Trump cut the grass because he's like, listen, this is me. This is what I believe in. These are my people. Come on out the grass, right? Come on out the bushes. And now people are being called on their BS. And so for me, on the internet, they don't get called out because they can start burner accounts. And so for me, I realized you can't out troll the internet because people are able to hide in the tallest grass of all time.